Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ask Me Anything. I'm here with Myrna and somebody who has herself labeled as Anon, who's not able to use audio. So I'm going to be checking her chat constantly. But we were talking a little bit about mutual bouts with COVID, and Myrna was saying how she lost weight and felt funny being here because so many people that show up to these meetings are dealing with what they believe is too much weight in their bodies. And I want to assure her that eating challenges are eating challenges. And I can just share a story with you, if you don't mind, about that. I'm going back probably 30 years ago when I was in the throes of my eating disorder. And my eating disorder showed up for me as severe restriction and purging at the same time. And my husband had a business associate, a woman, lovely woman, who had the opposite problem from me. She was a binge eater. And my weight was dangerously low and hers was dangerously high. And we were sitting at dinner. My husband was in between us and we were talking about our challenges. He shared with me after that dinner that if he had closed his eyes, he wouldn't have known which one of us had too little weight on our body and which one had too much. It just shows up differently, right? Because as I always say, the eating disorder is not the problem, it's a solution. We turn to food or away from food to help us navigate a world that we don't feel safe in. Does that make sense to you, Myrna?
Not at all. Only
No?
because I didn't grow up that way, and I don't have I'm more realistic. Yes, I weigh myself every day. Yes, I know what I see in the mirror. I don't fool myself. And I grew up with a very heavy family. And if you didn't finish your plate, you didn't go out to play. So I never went out to play because my mother fed me too much food. What am I supposed to do about that? I just, to grow up in a home full of gluttons. And my mother would take me to get clothing and say, this is the perfect size for you. Don't gain any weight. And I don't really think it affected me because I grew up in a large family and I just watched the gluttonous and it was just right. So I've always looked the same, but I'm more about how I feel. And when COVID hit and I didn't eat and I just lost all this weight, to me, it's very triggering because did I go through a period where I guess when you go to college and you just decide, I think I won't eat anything. See how long it takes to just not eat anything. And I pretty much, I don't feed myself when I'm miserable. I don't eat when I'm miserable. So I'm one of those, the not eat, and I'm very conscientious of it. And
Mhm.
while I had COVID and didn't eat, I was very conscientious of it. But as you know, you can't eat when you have COVID because you don't feel like eating, you don't feel good, you can't sit up. I couldn't really, it was awful. And when I finally came around to my senses, I knew I had lost so much weight. And for me, the only way to gain it back on was to just do a deep dive in protein. And yeah, that's costly for me. And yeah, I put on weight, but as of late, I've noticed I've lost 5 pounds and I'm still eating the same thing I always eat since I put the 10 pounds, back on, and it just went away. And I don't know what maybe because so what's been rough for me, my health has been improving by leaps and bounds. So I got myself a rescue dog that has high energy. So I have to walk it every day. And
Okay.
maybe it's all this walking, all this energy output, and I am not compensating with calorie input.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Would you consider for a little while therapeutically to change your routine with food and maybe have more of a feeding window than just the one meal a day?
No, because
Why?
my intermittent fasting, and I took your advice and I did a glucose monitor, and my OMAD works at 9:30 in the morning. And in my mind's eye, when I started intermittent fasting, I started healing because the more time in between my meals, the more my gut gets to heal, my person gets to heal. I just feel like I said, I don't do it for how I look. I do it for how I feel. And I feel so much better this way. The tricky part is putting more food into that window of one meal a day. You can only, I mean, for me, I can only eat just so much. So that's my challenge. I don't know how
Okay.
to put in calories.
Well, I'm thinking just in terms of temporarily, if you think of it as a therapeutic protocol, because if you're losing that much weight and it concerns you, then sometimes we need to say, well, maybe what I'm doing right now just isn't working for me right now.
So to your end of the psychological aspect of eating, is that am I losing too much weight to be concerned? Hell no, I look great. I feel amazing. But the psychological thing for me is psychologically, I feel vulnerable. Psychologically, I feel small. Psychologically, I feel inadequate to defend myself. So when I'm lighter in weight, psychologically, it messes me up. Yesterday, a dog came out and rushed us, and I did all I could to try to keep my dog from not getting attacked, to keep me, and I screamed like I was set on fire. And I live like, there's old people here. We're all home. Nobody came out to rescue me. It was awful.
I hear
So,
you.
so I just that's where I am. Like, I mean, everyone who knows me just said, "Well, you look fine. You've always been thin. You look fine." And I'm sure I look fine. It's just for me to be 5 pounds lighter just means I'm 5 pounds vulnerable.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that you're not comfortable where you are right now. So, what can you, the question from me is always, what do you need to let go of that's keeping you stuck in this place? And perhaps it's your rigidity when it comes to nutritional intake. And I'm not saying that it needs to be forever, but maybe if you just had, two meals during the day, during that feeding window. I'm not asking you to change the times, the length tremendously, but maybe just add a little more and see what happens, or maybe add a protein shake sometime during the day, or something that's not going to skew your blood sugar.
That's not it. It's the time span between eating. The longer I have a time span, the more healing happens. I lived with
Ah,
my disease for 10 years, and everyone who knows me 2 days ago, because now I walk and I walk my neighborhood, and people came out of their houses like it was the Wizard of Oz, and they came out and said, "When did you get out of a wheelchair? How long have
wow.
you been walking?" Right. So I don't want to go back to that. So
I understand.
psychologically,
Okay. All right. So then what can you do to make your meals more nutrient dense?
I don't know.
Okay. So what do you tell me what you're eating?
So I cook for the week on Sunday and I make like a soup of all my vegetables and my proteins, and it gets portioned, and that's what I eat. And somewhere like now that I know I've lost this weight, I'll cook a steak with that soup. I'll cook some chicken with that soup. It hasn't been helping. I went to the extreme yesterday and cooked 2 cups of rice. I ate 2 cups of rice. I put on the 5 pounds, woke up this morning, all gone. All gone.
Right. Well, you have to be more consistent, right? And adding the calories because you are being more active. And bless you, that's so wonderful. Really is wonderful. So I would think about also the healthy fats. How do you handle fat?
Uh, I don't really think I have fats in my diet for that reason. I'm pretty
For what reason?
structured
For what reason?
uh, because I guinea pigged myself with all the foods that I've taken to see what the end result would be.
All right, so why don't you guinea pig a little more and see how you would do with some avocado?
I don't like avocado. Sadly, I
Okay.
know it's so healthy. I just don't like
All
it.
right. Well, how do you do with nut butters?
I can't, I do almond milk. That's
Mhm.
as far as I go with that. Almond
Be-
milk.
Because of,
Um, I don't do nut butters because what would I eat them with?
are you eating any fruit?
No, we're not really. Fruit is blueberries. That's it.
Okay. What are you doing in terms of complex carbohydrate?
None.
And
I'm none really. Comes in the form of fruit, half a banana. Not really.
okay, so you could put your nut butter on your half a banana.
I don't know if I would do that.
Well, but this is,
I
this is
hear what you're saying. I hear what
This
you're
is
saying.
why
To
it's a
introduce.
therapeutic protocol, right? And you got to
Mhm.
think about why you're stuck and where the hesitancy is in experimenting and moving forward so that you don't feel so vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
You know, question the vulnerability. It's are you vulnerable to the food as well, right? Are you vulnerable to the other side? Is
This
that
is
what,
true.
right?
The food is a vulnerability for
Okay.
me.
So, you know, remember, our brains are made up of fat and glucose. We need some form of carbohydrate in our diets. When we become carbohydrate deficient, and I'm not talking about eating bagels and exorbitant amounts of pasta, I'm talking about eating starchy vegetables. Start there. They're very
Yeah,
safe.
I don't do that either. I stayed away from that. That did not agree with me. Sweet potatoes didn't agree
What
with.
happens? What happens?
So MS has, everyone's MS is different,
I
and
get that.
you feel, I mean, I just have certain symptoms, and as long as I stay away from certain foods, those symptoms are gone. I did everything I could do yesterday when the dog was attacking us to not have a seizure. Like that's the next thing I'm navigating, is how I get rid of these friggin' seizures, because I ride a motorcycle. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Can't be riding a motorcycle and have a seizure.
Yeah, no, that's not a good combination. I would say that's a recipe for disaster. But, you know, I understand, you know, autoimmune paleo would be eliminating grains. Grains can be inflammatory.
Right, they're gone.
Yeah, but, you know, squash, no. Sweet potato, no.
I do spaghetti squash.
Okay,
I don't really feel like it has a nutritional value, but it does have a carbohydrate
yes,
value, so I
yeah.
do that. But you're right, now you mention it. So Kroger's been out of it for like 2 weeks, and maybe that's why, because I stopped, it's not in my soup.
Right, well, just think about it and think about adding some healthy fat. You know, just even a tablespoon here and there of olive oil, ghee, um, even avocado oil. If you don't like avocado, I get it, but avocado oil is a wonderful, healthy fat.
I
And
do tallow, like tallow, when I cook my steak, I cook it
okay,
in tallow. So, and I do fatty steaks. Ribeye steaks are very fatty.
yes, yes, okay.
So that, I get it through the meats.
All right, well,
Yeah, something to
keep,
think about.
keep us posted and think about it, but think about the resistance.
Yeah.
Gonna challenge you a little bit, Myrna.
Yeah. No, food for thought.
Yes, exactly, exactly. I want to say hello to Marlene. She's new to our call. Hey, Marlene. You could post in the chat if you don't feel like speaking. You have any questions for me? Okay. Anna, you have any questions today? Last time we met, you had some questions, and I hope my answers and my suggestions were helpful. I'd love to know how you're doing now. Quiet group today. Remember, this is your time to ask me anything. Yes, I've been enjoying the changes I've made. Oh, great. Maybe you could type in the chat the changes you've made so the group can experience what you've been doing and be aware and how well you've been feeling. Question here. Of course, ask the question about alcohol. I'm not sure if that was your question. Alcohol. Oh, okay. My family did not drink alcohol, but both parents are morbidly obese. An example for me of overuse. Right. Your parents didn't drink, but they were obese. Okay. I'm not understanding the connection here. Could you be more specific? Oh, okay. At times I find myself using beer or such, and I'm concerned to not fall into using. Okay, so that's really a great question. Um, when you're having your beer or such, are you enjoying it? Are you turning to the beer or alcohol as an effort to escape, to numb yourself? Or is it something that you're just enjoying socially? Very relaxing and lowers pain. What else can I utilize solution is what your interest is. Okay, so basically, when we have the need to self-soothe, we want to think about what brings us joy, right? We want to think about also, where is the pain coming from? We want to think about the fact that our need to self-soothe is coming for a need to find a solution. So what solution can you rely on that's healthy, that doesn't frighten you? Depending on where you are in your situation, taking a walk, reaching out to a friend or a mentor, reading a book, involving in crafts. For some people, it's taking an Epsom salt bath, taking a warm shower. Could be a multitude of things that will help you to feel nourished, feel connected, feel supported in such a way that you need to feel supported. Does that help? Or do you need me to be more specific? So the pain you're talking about, is it physical pain or emotional pain? Okay, I understand. Yeah, so it's basically you're going to need to operate within the framework of what your body can handle. I know Myrna can probably speak to this too, since she's had some challenges physically as well. Is there any type of movement that you can engage in that brings you joy, that you find comfort in? I'd start there. Our bodies are designed to move even when we've struggled with an injury. So it's about finding the appropriate form of movement that is within the parameters of what your body can handle. It's so easy for us to, when we suffer physical challenges, to totally retreat and think that we're treating ourselves well, when sometimes we need to move. And I'm reading, oh, I'm sorry, water rehab twice a week, beautiful. Brad, E-Trike, great, wonderful. Okay.
Okay, I have one of those too. I don't know if it's called,
Okay.
it's not an e-trike, it's a Spider. I have a Can-Am Spider because I physically cannot ride a two-wheeled motorcycle. And when I became disabled, and when you can't move or you're in pain or you're uncomfortable, the best feeling is the freedom of just being on a bike with the wind in your hair. Just, it's very, very liberating. Met my share of people who have had really bad accidents and never get off the bike. So they just, they have an accident, but you need that for your head. You need to clear your head. And that's a safer way than drinking. I would rather lean into sitting in a hot tub, sitting in your bathtub with Epsom salt. I would lean into meditation. Part of meditation is not focusing on that. Part of earthing is going outside and just giving yourself 10 minutes of sunshine. Do something healthy for your body instead of something that's just ignoring your body. That's how I look at things. I mean, if I was to start drinking, I think I would ignore who I am. And I did that for a long time. I was in a wheelchair and it got me nowhere. So I'm happier to have clarity and do things that make me happy. I used to walk the dog and then I was not well to walk a dog. And then I just threw the party, pity, party of one, pity. Oh, there you are, pity. And it was rough because nobody understands what it's like to be me. Nobody understands what it's like to be in pain. Nobody understands, nobody gets it. Oh, woe is me. Well, no one's going to be there for you. No one. You have to show up for you. You have to show up for you and be there for you. Do what works for you to help you be the best version of you, not ignoring the best version of you. It's very easy to give up, and then it just makes it harder.
We'll use it for transportation as much as possible. Believe this was an old scenario that was relived. My daughter miscarried and it brought up some old deep pain wounds. And for me, I was okay with treating temporarily with some beer. To be honest, I learned this from you, Mindy, and won't guilt myself for it. No, never guilt. Guilt does not serve us well at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
guilt.
hard. That's a hard one.
I'm
I
sorry
think
for your pain.
I've had enough serious trauma and I went through some serious trauma therapy to overcome that. And the only way for me, the overcoming of the trauma was deep dive into the trauma, because the second go around of the trauma is not the same as the first. I did brain spotting. It was hell on wheels. It was awful, but now I know I can deal with that. But I don't know. It's a lot of deep diving into self, I think, for you.
Well, for all of us, and I just had this conversation with a client, recovery, which is a word I use very loosely because the definition of recovery is to regain what was lost or taken. So you can recover a set of keys the same way you can recover your health, in the same state of mind. But my point is this: it starts with relationship to self. It starts with what we're willing to look at, how inward we're willing to go. Some talk about a higher power. I discovered through my own healing experience that my highest power is my deepest sense of self. When I learned that I could depend on myself and only myself to lift me up from the darkness, that's when I started the transition to connecting to the wisdom of my body. What foods are good for my body? What foods make me feel best? What foods make me feel worse? And getting out of my head and getting more into my body. Anna writes, my taste buds have changed, my foods have changed, the amount has lowered. That's wonderful. I'm very much in touch with myself, but the pain my daughter went through, I had to be strong. We lost another adult child 3 years ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. U.S. military, scout sniper, accidental overdose. So I want to continue to hold my space as a military mom. Well, bless you. You really are carrying a huge burden. A huge burden. And I feel you. And I'm so happy you're here on the call. And any support that you get is really our pleasure to share with you. And gratitude, gratitude for what we do have. And even comes a time after the pain lessens a little bit to find gratitude in that lesson, to find gratitude for what we had. When my children lost their dad, I used to tell them, if it wasn't so great, it wouldn't hurt so bad. So wouldn't you rather have it this way? So you can be grateful for that. Be grateful for everything that you had, and let that propel you forward and fill your heart. Your heart might be broken into a million little pieces, but let every piece be full. Yes, there are always challenges. Weight gain brought on blood sugar scenario that has been resolved also with Brazil nuts and vitamin C. Hypothyroid is also resolved. Thank you. Yes, I'm better. Marco is on a new mission now. Yes, he is. Thank you for sharing that. Cindy, you new to the call. That's okay to just listen. I wanted to say, then I'll say hello to Menzel, that because these calls are recorded now, I want you to think about questions that you might have for me, even if you can't make the call. So for example, when I send out the invite with the Zoom link, you can email me questions you have or challenges that you'd like me to address, and I will address them live on the call. And then the recording will be sent out in my monthly newsletter under the heading of In Case You Missed It. So I don't want to send the recording to all of the thousands of people on my email list because that wouldn't be fair to them or to you. This way you have a choice of listening and certainly reaching out to me in between these sessions. So I really hope you take advantage of it because I love this hour with you. I really do. I love facilitating. I love meeting all of you. I love the spontaneity of what's going to come up. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of your day. Mensel, how are you doing? Any better?
Oh, I'm still struggling and still learning desperately from everyone. And I have so much information every day coming in that I cannot, not that I particularly I'm ready to follow any of them because I go only my ways. And I'm not, everyone will tell me that I'm not eating what I should eat, but I'm desperately trying to find something that can allow me to continue eating dairy. Be it alcohol, I don't care if any glass of alcohol will take out 1 year of my life. But I'm desperately, if I give up eating dairy, I am hungry all the time.
Okay, so why do you feel you have to give up eating dairy?
Because it makes my entire body flare up. And this lasts for days.
Okay, so
And
what?
I'm every moment I'm trying my way out from eating only vegetables and only leafy greens. When I hear leafy greens, I need my carbs and I need my meat. I'm not eating much, though my body likes it very much. I personally don't like it.
But your body
I
does.
miss my dairy. It's a basic point in my life. So
What about having non-dairy alternatives? Right?
I'm trying to eat, but they are awful. They are not tasty. They are not.
I
And
can't
dairy
disagree
has
with
a taste. For example, one day I put a little milk in the coffee, and the milk was a little bit started to become sour, and it did not color up the coffee to light. And the coffee had an awful taste.
Well,
So
must
I
have been,
came
like you
to the
said,
point
sour.
that what I love is the milk in the coffee and not the coffee itself.
Ah, okay. Well, your body is telling you something, Mensel, and the symptoms really just mean that your body is screaming for attention. And perhaps, you know, laying off the dairy for a short amount of time, few weeks, might calm things down. And then you can slowly reintroduce it. That could be a way of.
Right, but after 2 days, I'm already like I understand now those who are addicted to drugs, what they go through.
Yeah, well,
Because
the sad part is that our bodies very often crave what we can't handle. Some crazy psychological thing goes on there. I can't say why that is. But for you, it could also be a bit emotional and psychological. Your attachment to dairy could go back to your childhood, could go back to someone.
I never had any eating problems of any kind until my body got flared up, some imbalance that no one will ever know where it comes from. It started together with the COVID. It might have been COVID, undetected by anyone, ever, never. And it's an inflammation that flares up, and probably the dairy flares it up even more. It's not a digestive problem because I don't have any gut symptoms.
So what happens? What are the symptoms that you have from the dairy?
Pain in all my body going from my thighs upwards up to my neck. My entire back is aching that I cannot even stand on my feet.
And are you sure that it's the dairy?
And the dairy makes it stronger. If I give up eating dairy for 2-3 days, then it goes away, it fades away slowly. And then but I need to eat something because I'm underfed, simply underfed, because I'm eating very little meat, for a little bit fruits and carbs, not too much, without any glucose limits or something. I don't measure anything. I'm not interested in any such measurements that somebody comes to tell me that I will have Alzheimer if I eat chocolate. I'm not interested to hear it. So but I'm almost not eating a little bread and a little bit of vegetables and almost nothing. If I'm not able to cook a little bit of vegetables of one kind or another, which I eat, I was grown up with cooked food. So I don't like this theory that it's forbidden to eat cooked food. Everything should be eaten raw.
You think everything should be eaten raw, or you don't?
No, I don't think. They
No.
say it's healthy. I heard a webinar of 3 days last week, very interesting, where the main team, a girl named Samantha Solomon, hosted the webinar. And she tried to convince everybody strongly, together with a few other speakers, that eating only the full vegan diet is the best thing in the world. And
Well,
she
for some-
interviewed a person of Panama's origin who has a PhD in nutrition, a honorific PhD, and he explained that all his life he never ate cooked food of any kind. And he is 76 and completely clear and healthy and thriving. And only one single professor was in all the summit that told her that, in fact, studies have shown that those who don't eat meat have a higher rate of Alzheimer's than those who do. So it was as if she has poured a glass of cold water on the entire theme of the webinar, which was all plant-based and how good is. So one webinar teaches you not to eat meat, another teaches you not to eat carbs, the third one teaches you not to eat dairy and any kind of grains and any kind of anything, so only leafy greens. So I'd like to see how can you get your calories only from leafy greens. And they say, take a ton of leafy green, toss it into a blender or a juicer, and then you will be able to eat a lot of...
Okay, well, what I'm going to suggest to you, and I have before, is that you stop listening to so many webinars, stop looking outside of yourself, and start listening to the messages that your body is sending you. You are the expert of your experience. You can be the master of your own healing. Myrna is a perfect example of this. She figured out what works best for her. Would it work best for me? Absolutely not. I could never survive on one meal a day. Yeah,
well,
I agree with the principle of intermittent fasting.
I just can't understand how can she toss all those calories that her body needs into one single meal.
Well, she's figuring it out. And she's also realizing now that she needs to perhaps look at what she's doing, because is it really working? You know, I know people that have been vegan for years, felt great until it stopped. I know people that ate meat for years and felt great until it stopped. Our bodies are constantly changing. We go through different seasons of life. And with that, our digestion changes, our inner environment changes. And only we can know what is best for our bodies. That's looking at not what we're eating, but what our bodies are doing with what we're eating. From what you're telling me, you're having an inflammatory reaction to dairy. It's not a lactose intolerance, because then you would have bloating, you would have gas. What you're describing is an inflammatory situation. You've got to calm the inflammation down. When there's an inflammatory situation, it means your immune system is on high alert. The purpose of our immune system is designed to identify and attack threats to the body. So if your body is sensing that dairy is a threat for whatever reason, it could be the enzymes, it could be the proteins, it could be anything in that dairy, in that complexity of scientific material that makes up that milk. Your body is sensing it as a threat and it's going into high alert. And that's not a good thing. So you need to think about why you don't want to give up the dairy and why you're so hesitant to replace it with things that would serve you better. That's the issue here. That's where the eating psychology comes in. Where is the reward for you in continuing to eat the dairy, even though you know it makes you ill?
I love the taste of dairy, and it looks to me now, looking backwards, that it was probably an easy way to supply proteins to my body versus other methods that I was not accustomed to. They tell you eat beans. Okay, I love beans, but you cannot eat beans every day, every meal.
I don't want to hear they. I want to start
Yeah,
hearing.
can I chime in here as a
Let me just finish my
listening?
thought.
Go
I
ahead.
want to hear what your body is telling you you should be eating, not they. There's no one size fits all for nutrition at all. Not everybody can eat the same way. You can have two people without any health issues eating the same diet, but their bodies may respond differently due to the inner environment, the microbiome of the body. And that's what I stress to you month after month after month. You've got to stop listening to they and start listening to the wisdom, the brilliant wisdom of your own body.
Mental, I was the same way as you. I sat at home, watched all these webinars, did the deep dive. I started with the raw diet. 2 years of didn't cook a damn thing, ate everything raw. I had tons of energy and my health declined. And I was a vegetarian my whole life, which is a lot of cheese and dairy. But I did this raw thing for 2 years and I didn't get better, but I felt with this energy. Then I started doing what you did, Mental, watch different videos on different things and don't eat this and eat that. And I did all of that until I finally found myself. And I just did what Mindy is suggesting. Just guinea pig yourself. Try what you think works for you. And when it doesn't work, don't try it. Just put it away. But in a few months' time, because women and our hormones are changing and daylight saving stuff, things are affecting us on the daily. So things may work for a period of time and then it'll stop working. And it's not the seminar or the wisdom of some other person telling you eat this, don't eat that. You have to figure it out yourself. You have to look around and figure out, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing mentally? What are you doing physically? It's not just about everybody said to eat this and this is bad and this is good. Mindy's right. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Let it go, Mental. Mindy's right. Listen to the wisdom.
I really would not listen to anyone if I had not these awful pains. It doesn't matter to me that they say grains are not healthy, because for me, grains are wonderful. I love them, and I could eat only grains, but I need some cheese on it, something good to put on it, not just leafy greens.
Okay, but I'm gonna step in here again. It's not that grains are not healthy. Grains are one of the healthiest foods on earth. But for some people, grains can be a source of inflammation. So it's not a question of good food, bad food. It again goes back to what your body is doing with the food that you're eating. Right? I know when I went through my own digestive challenges, I was eating the healthiest diet on earth. Guess what? My body didn't agree. I had to really look at the fact that, you know what, I'm not doing so well with this apple. And maybe I shouldn't be eating salad twice a day. And maybe instead of a pound of asparagus, I should only eat a few stalks. So, it's just a question of listening to the messages that your body is sending you. And our body sends us messages in the way of symptoms. And if you're telling me that your symptoms are including pain throughout your body, that's your body screaming. And that's worth listening to and worth paying attention to. And you know what? You just might have to give up the dairy.
That would be very difficult.
Well,
I try.
but you know what, mental doesn't have to be difficult. It's your mind that's making it difficult. It's your mind that's making it. You're not allowing yourself to want to embrace better health. You might think you do, but what are you willing to do to change the way you feel? That's really the question. What are you willing to do?
I was still hoping to find the treatment that will calm down the inflammation, because it's not the dairy the problem, but it's the how my body reacts to the dairy.
Well, exactly.
So this reaction might be caused by something else entirely.
Well,
and I love the conference that I heard when somebody, a professor, explained that vitamin C is the best thing in the world, but is undiscussed and because it does not bring big money to the pharma companies. So it's considered something.
Too much vitamin
told
C.
that quantities of 50,000 units a day, 50,000 milligrams a day, something unimaginable. We told sit down and eat a pill of vitamin C every 6 minutes until your body will reject it and you will start having diarrhea. And
Exactly.
that's the quantity that you should go with. And it's anti-inflammatory and it solves lots of problems. But you cannot go to tell a doctor that you need IV vitamin C, because they make your analysis, and God forbid that your blood glucose be 105. They say, do you see, your glucose is high and that's your problem. Now I know it isn't. And because of this, I'm not eating chocolate, although I know that it makes me good to my brain and to my heart. I love sweets. Not to eat every day only sweets, but I love eating chocolate more than I love eating fruit of the best kind.
Well, my advice to you, Menzel, is to find yourself a good naturopath or functional medicine doctor who could do some good testing. I've shared with you the name of a wonderful coach that I know who is in Israel very often and can certainly.
Now she will not be very often, I promise.
Yeah, well, her children are there. Her children are there and they're fighting. And or you can meet virtually. And she knows the community there. She knows the medical community there. And she could make some really good suggestions for you. But again, Menzel, my dear Menzel, it goes back to how willing you are to make change, how willing you are to let go of what's no longer serving you.
It's a trade. What for what? I'm ready to make change, but I need something instead, not just giving up things and not putting anything else instead.
All right, well,
I would be ready to somebody to bring me a steak every day. It would be great. And if that steak will be pork, which is hard enough to find in Israel, that would be even greater.
Well, maybe you can find some food service. I know things in Israel now are not easy and they're not normal, but maybe you can find someone who could prepare food for you, and you can start making some changes and letting go of what's no longer serving you. That's what I want you to think about. What can you let go of that's no longer serving you?
I remember my mother always told, one day we eat without meat, a meal without meat, and the second day without meat. And then she told, now we should eat meat because I feel that only meals that contain meat make you really satisfied physically, not mentally. So cooking meat was kind of But we always eat a various diet, not too much vegetable. I don't love vegetables at all. So I
All right,
eat,
well, let's see if Marlene or Cindy have questions they want to ask in the last 15 minutes of this call, and Menzel will continue this conversation. But again, I want you to think about what you can let go of and how you can start listening to what your body is telling you. Marlene, Cindy, I'd love to hear from you. If you could just post something in the chat, tell me what your challenges are. What prompted you to join today? What did you hope to hear? Everyone's quiet. Okay. You can always reach
In
out.
about Thanksgiving, since it is the holiday.
Oh,
season.
sure. In fact, Myrna, I remember last year we were talking about Thanksgiving.
Yes, and it was challenging, but I've now have reset my whole mind about doing stuff, and I've been learning from other people, little things like when you go to a restaurant, you can order your appetizer that doesn't have to be one of the appetizers listed, and you can just order a burger, just a plain burger sitting on a plate, no bun, no pickle, just order a burger as an appetizer. So now when I'm with family and we have food, I first have to assess what's safe and then what's like the little iffy, I'll eat it, I'll probably be in the bathroom for a bit, but it won't have a bad effect with my disease. So I can now join the party without feeling and being that it's been a lot better. I've been a lot better in accepting everything and going with the flow and enjoying company, because I remember you saying that socially we are all about gathering around food. And because I had all these weird issues about food, it made me so uncomfortable. And now I'm not uncomfortable anymore. Now it's just, okay, that people have to meet around food. And
oh, I heard something even more interesting, that when you go to a restaurant, you should take your juice or salad from home, and instead of that of the restaurant, eat your
I
own.
stopped listening to everybody what they're
Only
saying.
that
I
is
listen to
healthy.
the wisdom of my body. And when I go to a restaurant, I will explain to them that I want the salad with no dressing. That's it. I'm doing it once for the hour I'm spending time with family. I'm enjoying the family. I'm listening to no one but myself. It's very eye-opening. It's very releasing. It's just liberating. Mental, just listen to yourself.
This unprocessed, forbidden to eat processed food. But for God's sake, if I prepare food myself at home, it's also processed food, because no one can eat unprocessed meat, except if he's a cannibal, kind of a cannibal.
All right, well, when they're talking about processed food, Menzel, they're talking about food that is made in a factory, right? It's made in a plant, not from a plant. It's manufactured with salts, sugars, and fats that are designed to make sure you can't eat just one. If food's in bags and boxes, that's the kind of processed food we're talking about. Yeah, oatmeal, oats are processed grains, right? There are healthy cereals out there. They are processed. An orange, you can't eat it with the peel. It needs to be processed. You peel it. So, you can just take that so far. And when it says no processed food, that's what we're talking about. Foods that are chemicalized, foods that are manufactured in a plant, not grown or raised. And that's the kind of processed food that we as nutritionists advise the public not to eat. So don't confuse the issue. So Myrna, what are you doing this Thanksgiving?
Nothing. Because I only have a motorcycle and my kids live too far away, and I'm not about to hop on a bike and ride 3 hours and then have to turn around and come back because I got this dog.
Right. Okay. Well, but I hope that you have a day where you can connect to people maybe in your
My
community?
kids come home sporadically
Okay.
and they take me out to eat and I stop being a scutch about it. And, you know, it's fine. I don't make a scene. I don't do anything. It's one day, it's time with my children. It's fine. Yes, I'm liberated and free. I'm not a glutton. I just portion. It's fine. It really was eye-opening. I'm glad I met you and I'm glad this happened here.
But you know, what I want to say though is, you know, about the freedom. You know, freedom is a mindset. And how do I want to say this? You know, yeah, it's wonderful that we've decided that we're eating what we're eating and we feel empowered and we're making empowered choices. But I want those choices to come from a mindset of abundance, not a mindset of scarcity. Do you understand the difference?
Mhm.
Okay, that's, you know, what I wanted to make sure. I want to make sure that if you're, you know, if you're ordering your bun with your burger without the bun, and I'm just using that as an example because that's what you brought up, I'm not judging anything. It's because that's really what you want. And that's what your soul is calling for. Instead
When
of
I
your
heard
head,
that,
instead of
the
your
person
head,
that said that, I was like, wait, you can do that? And he said,
yeah.
my girlfriend got mad when I did it because she said that's not an appetizer. I was like,
No, but my point is that you want your choice to come from within. You don't want the choices to be coming from here when it's a question of what should I be eating, right? We got to get rid of the shoulds and we have to start substituting that thought process with could instead of what should I, because should implies shouldn't, right? If I should be eating something, that means I shouldn't be eating something else. But if I could be eating something, it means I can make a choice. And it's just a little tweak, but I think it's, again, to use your word, liberating. And you know what, when we're liberated, we feel lighter. And when we feel lighter, our bodies become lighter, our souls become lighter. And it has nothing to do with weight, but we also become expansive when we're lighter. You know, how much space we're taking up on this planet, that has nothing to do with our size. It's the size of our soul.
Yeah. That makes a big difference when you're right. I should means I shouldn't. And you're right. I stopped doing all of that because it was too constricting. It was too close-minded. It was too, I felt a part, like I was in the pity party, but in a different vein of the pity party. I was away and I was isolated. It made a big difference to just join the party. Don't be a pooper. You don't have to partake in the drinking. You don't have to partake in the dairy, but you go for the company and just the vibe. I just go for the vibe.
And that's what's nourishing. Because what truly nourishes us, step 7 of my 7-step program to stop fearing food, is what truly nourishes us is not going to be found in the kitchen.
Yep.
And I just want to pay attention on the holidays that I refrain from. I do pray for those who are suffering. Not everyone is happy about the holidays. And that is so much the truth. The holidays are triggering for a lot of us. A lot of us. I did explain.
Always surprises me that in America there is such a strong tradition of going out and eating in restaurants. And I can't really understand it. I wasn't in a restaurant.
Mental, not everywhere. Not everywhere. That's an overgeneralization. You know, my family, the holidays are spent in someone's home. We don't go to restaurants. And there are some holidays that I refer to as Hallmark holidays. They've become totally commercialized. And we just don't pay attention to them. So, you know, it's a question of your family traditions and what makes you feel good. And
probably no one wants to cook for several people. So
I disagree. I love to cook for a lot of people. That makes me feel wonderful. I love the holidays and the smells of the food in the kitchen. And that makes me feel good. So I think it's very important to do what makes you feel best. Again, listen to the wisdom of your heart, your soul, and your body.
I like
And respect
somebody,
where you are. Respect where you are.
somebody to do the things that I don't know how to do. I don't know to cook. That I admit that I don't know to cook. I cook a few meals, not few, several, but I'm not a cook. I don't know how to cook meat very variously, and I cook a little bit
Well,
grains and
learn.
vegetables.
You could learn, you could watch recipes, follow recipes,
I
watch some.
follow, and everything is so easy when you follow the video, and then when you start doing it, it's not so easy because it needs experience. Everything needs experience.
But you're not going to have the experience if you don't try.
So I'm trying. Sometimes I'm satisfied with just watching.
Okay.
See how good it is and how nice, and they teach you a lot of things and how. Alcohol is a no, no, no for everybody who has pain of any kind. So I don't know. There are recipes that require a little bit of wine.
Well, wine burns off. When you cook with wine, the alcohol burns off and it just offers flavor. So
I don't think that's bad.
that's not bad. There's nothing bad. It's about how your body is responding. Yeah, do I recommend clients eating Doritos and foods out of a bag or a box that are overly chemicalized? Absolutely not. But I believe in eating a diet that is abundant in colorful foods. I believe in eating meals that are high in protein, healthy fat, and fiber for blood sugar stabilization, which is very, very important for our minds as well as our bodies. And I believe respecting gut health. And I believe stress management is as equally important as everything else. Sleep, hydration, stress management. That's what makes for a healthy body. Food is just a part of it.
It's not easy.
So I will wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving if you are in the States and celebrating. If you're not celebrating, I wish for you that you just give thanks for everything that is abundant and wonderful in your life.
It goes with the turkey on a plate. I always see an entire turkey cooked on a plate. Thanksgiving. It's a home holiday.
All right. Well, until next month, I wish you all peace and safety.
Yes, let's wish to this crazy world peace.
Yes.
No people that understand what it is.
And let's pray for a return to humanity.
Yeah, a little bit of normality.
Take care, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Always nice to be with you.
Thank you, Menzel. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.